beautiful souls. I hope you're well. Today I have another gentleman with me. Yay, finally a man coming on my interviews. Dots, how are you?
I'm fine. Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
It's a real pleasure and honor to have you. You are in Ireland, if I'm not mistaken. Yep. And that's you are part, as well as many of the people who have come in these interviews, ladies and gentlemen, who are part of this kind of galactic community, or people who have a strong interest for galactic matters, disclosure, science, spirituality, and how we are kind of moving towards a new kind of world in a way, and discovering new things. And you are part of these really amazing people who are absolutely fascinated and curious about 1,000 topics. And you've been, if I remember well, you said that as a child you were really, really fascinated by astronomy, but science in general. So I think you're going to have a lot to talk about. That's really going to be fascinating for people today. You have a little bit of a background in mechanics, your engineering as well, astronomy. You're traveled a bit as well, so I would call you a little bit of like a Renaissance man, being just interested by so many things. And you're also very much like self-thought. You really believe in kind of thinking outside the box and really delving into information that really that are passion for you. So without further ado, I'm just going to let you treat us with with all of your life interests and research, and how you also seem to be um, wanting to kind of connect that also with the kind of a more right brain part of life, which has to do with spirituality and going within. And it's something very important, as we always kind of say, and how those two things, science and kind of spiritual things, can be joined together and to bring us even further. So I'm going to shut up now and let you talk and tell us more about your endeavors.
Um, yes, I spent most of my life just trying to figure things out scientifically
Mhm.
and logically. Uh, but then you come up against the stuff that's on the fringe, and you need to go there. You need to have a look. And when you start to see the overlap, that's very important. When you see the overlap, you especially scientific people don't believe that this can happen. It's important to see that spirituality um, and consciousness
Yeah.
is so important. If you don't understand even technology and consciousness, they can be the same almost, and they can interact.
Yeah.
So it's just very important. And most, as we talked about earlier, there's a lot of males that don't address that, and they just simply refuse. No, they refuse to even go there. And I think they need to really look at that. They really do. Hard, strong fighting. Doesn't work sometimes. It of course it does, and you need to defend yourself and your family, and that's important. But there's inner work that needs to be done as well,
Yeah.
and it completely strengthens you when you if you look into it. Some people just can't look into it. I have friends that won't. It's not that they can't, of course they can. They just won't.
Yeah.
They're completely restricting themselves. They won't give it a go. Even simple breathing exercises, relax for 5 minutes. I haven't got time. And they make an excuse. They have 5 minutes. Everyone has 5 minutes.
Yeah.
But anyway, I just think that that's very important. As much science that you put behind it, your science is restricted if you don't go there,
Yeah.
because that's where the real magic is. That's how you understand the stuff that's outside the box. If you're in
Absolutely.
the box and if you're inside a 10 by 10 by 10 meter box, and you're trying to explain to somebody what something 30 kilometers wide is, they have no idea, because the horizon stops at 10 meters.
Absolutely.
You have to look outside.
Mhm.
So you have to open yourself to the possibilities, and then you'll find the answers.
Very wise advice. I mean, I think that's a lot of the problem that has been happening in science, but in academia in general, is these
Absolutely.
boxes that which are basically stem from limiting beliefs and fear. Basically, it's fear. It's fear of yeah.
There's ego. um, jobs, reputation. Uh, but that's all being turned on its head now at the moment. So we all have to change our thinking there anyway.
Thank God.
Um, yeah. um, well, we have to. I'd rather understand what's happening at the moment.
Yeah.
And since we're going through what looks like frequency change, we'll be going into maybe fourth. We have to understand that. If you don't understand it, it will drive us crazy. You know, if you start to see different colors and you know, you need to understand that this is a natural process. Otherwise, you'll think you're going crazy. So again, we have to open ourselves up to these possibilities.
What do you feel is not only as a with a scientific approach that you have, but also as a male? I think it's interesting to explore that. What do you think there's so much resistance to this kind of opening up to this material, or this? Is it just because it's unknown? Is it because it that threatens something inside? What what's your theory on that?
A lot of people don't like change.
Yeah.
And there's so many people that don't like to be wrong.
Yeah.
They just don't like to admit when they're wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And fear of change, I really don't know. I've come far enough with the scientific stuff that where I started to get the block, as soon as I realized what was missing, I almost completely flipped. So if I'm talking to a scientist now, they'll think I'm losing it.
Hmm.
Because I'm after discovering the big gap in between. They then need to find the in between piece. Once they find that there's a correlation between the two, again, um, consciousness and every, if you knuckle it down to everything just being energy and light and consciousness, you know, you can understand it.
Yeah.
But you need to merge them two together. They don't work without each other. It's a symbiosis.
Yeah.
And I think it's a problem, but people are coming around. You know, when you're looking for answers, you will go there, especially when you're desperate. People are desperate for answers now, and the lies that we're getting from mainstream, and it's crazy if people can't see it, but that's up to them, and that's completely up to them. The only person that can change your mind is themselves. You can't change anyone's mind. They
Absolutely.
do it themselves. So it's heartbreaking to see people.
Yeah.
But it's their choice as well, so I can't.
Yeah, we have to respect that journey
Yeah,
and that rhythm. I mean, it's really part of also of the, in a way, of the spiritual kind of process, is also to let go of these expectations and wanting or forcing people to change. So I guess this is also part of the whole journey. Would you,
well,
oh, sorry, go ahead.
no, that's it. I mean, everyone has a choice, and I respect that. I have to. I have mutual respect for everyone else. I put myself in somebody else's shoes.
Mm.
Would they like me? And I said, the only way that we can get through this, absolutely only way, is if we respect each other.
Yeah.
No matter what religion, color, race, sex, all souls are equal.
Yeah.
That eliminates the male female thing as well. That's sort of the way I look at it.
Yeah.
All souls are equal, and that's it. And then there's no fight. It eliminates the fight. If we could all see that way,
Yeah.
all souls are equal. And then you will respect somebody else once they don't cross that boundary.
Yeah.
The boundary, as in you're right.
Mm-hmm.
All souls are equal, but then we can get along.
And there's so much division right now, and I think what you're bringing is absolutely crucial here, not only between sexes, genders, whatever, perceptions, races, all this bullshit that's going on right now, and this whole division that's really being forced on us. I think you bring a really important point here, is that we really have to go beyond and transmute all of this and be. It's really difficult right now for many people to be in this respect, in the respect that you're talking about, because everybody feels threatened. Everybody's ego is kind of being kind of I don't know, triggered right now with all these belief systems which are changing with the transformation, with the ascension we're going through, and it's even more difficult now than ever to actually stay in respect and stay in listening and hearing what people have to say rather than just immediately reacting and being in resistance. And so I think you're bringing a very important point.
It's yeah, there's a lot of change at the moment. Everybody's going through it.
Yeah.
So when you're having a bad day and you put it out there, everyone else around you is going to have a bad day.
Yeah.
I try my best. Almost all the time I'm happy. Almost. I just try. Now, it's going to happen on occasion. You're going to have a phone call, a letter, whatever, and it's going to set you off. But if something sets you off, try and take a few seconds out. Again, a couple of years ago, I would have said, this is crap. I go out into the back garden, I take off my shoes, my socks, and I ground for 5 minutes.
Yep. That's
and
powerful stuff.
Obviously, in Ireland, if it's a nice day, it could be raining. But there's wildlife everywhere in this country, and there's wildlife everywhere. But I just 5 minutes in the back garden, or wherever you can. If you're in work, if there's a park, just shoes and socks off if you can, and earth yourself for 5 minutes, a breathing exercise, and calm down.
Yeah.
And it works. It works. There's no pill that does that.
Mm. And that's what meditation is, basically. It's just taking those 5 minutes. It's not about levitating. It's not about having the perfect meditation kit. It's about just freaking stopping for 5 minutes. Just what is 5 minutes? Like you say, it's taking that time, but it's so precious and so important, so I want to add, oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was going to just add that the more you do, the easier it is to get there. Mm-hmm. I used to take 20 minutes, sometimes a half an hour to meditate. A couple of years ago when I was doing remote viewing exercises, and it took a while, but I can a couple of minutes get there now. If you repeat it and repeat it and repeat it, it shortens the time so quickly, so you can get there in a couple of minutes. So just about that. Sorry.
Yeah. No, I'm the one who cut you off. And it's actually really interesting that you were talking about remote viewing, because this is exactly what I wanted to go to right now. I wanted to kind of move on to that and to tell us a little bit more about, because you mentioned a few times about your remote viewing and what you do. And I would like to know much more about, what you do and which projects you have, and just talk to us about everything you do and all your interests.
Well, I discovered remote viewing in the 90s. A book came out in the 90s. I can't remember. It was early 90s. David Morehouse, Psychic Warrior, I think it was called.
Okay.
Fascinating. So from then on, all sorts of remote viewing data I just accumulated. And I joined Farsight. They're remote viewing. They're fabulous. And jumped into all their data, studied it. I've done a few of their courses in remote viewing. I've done that's it. I never tasked myself anything, so I've never done a project for me. Okay. It's impossible. It needs to be blind. You need somebody else to do it. There is a way of doing it, tasking yourself, but I think the fact that I know how to do it almost makes it impossible for me to do blind. Yeah. But I haven't done any projects for me, but I've done lots of them, the target ones for Farsight. It absolutely works. Absolutely works. One of the targets, unbeknownst to them, was a personal thing that I wanted to do. And when I shot into the target, I should have seen Niagara Falls. And I should have been able to sketch Niagara Falls. But what I ended up sketching was the wheelhouse of a ship, which I didn't know what I was drawing at the time. It was a wheelhouse of a ship, and it was damp, cold, windows all around. I wrote a few descriptive words there as well on the sketch. Mm-hmm. I still couldn't figure out what it was, because there was lines and marks everywhere, and I was trying to draw mist, and that's hard to draw with a pen.
Yeah, of course.
So it was scribbles and a big mess, and I was there that's a fail. I don't know what this is, you know.
Hmm.
But when they revealed the target as Niagara Falls, I realized what happened. I'd seen a movie in the 80s with a ship in Niagara Falls called The Lady in the Mist. And I said that if I'd ever go to Niagara Falls, I'm going to go on that ship. So the instant that the target was assigned, that I wrote the target down and went for it, my subconscious jumped straight into the wheelhouse of the ship. And that's what I was drawing. And
Fascinating.
because it was only a target and I didn't work it, I could have zoomed out and had a look and all of that, but I
Hmm.
didn't. It was just a quick target and move on. Um, it absolutely blew me away that I jumped straight into the wheelhouse of the ship. And there was 4 targets on that practice. The other 4, or the other 3 were, so I had Niagara Falls, the Betty and Barney Hill abduction, the American Civil War, which I missed, and the Mars rover, picture of a rover up on Mars. And I got 3 of them, except for the American Civil War. The
Okay.
American Civil War I missed. I didn't get it. I drew something. It wasn't the American Civil War. I don't know
Okay.
what it was. But the other 3 were spot on. But Niagara Falls blew me away. It
Wow.
really did, because it was personal to me.
Yeah.
It was really good. But remote viewing absolutely works. Um, I've studied Farsight stuff way back before they even went to the fancy screens, when it was all the paper stuff. And it's very powerful stuff. It's
Wow.
everyone should at least take an interest in it. At least take an interest in
Yeah.
it. It is. It's very powerful. So that's definitely something to look into. I advise anybody to do that. Farsight.org, and they also have Farsight Prime, which is a paid service.
Hmm.
So that's as much as I'd say about remote viewing. My personal stuff was mostly on the targets. I absolutely know it works. Absolutely.
Hmm.
So I'd advise anyone who wants to know more about it, try Farsight or any of the clubs, but Farsight is probably the best one.
The best. So would you
Yeah.
say that this has played an important role for you into kind of marrying this approach to
Yes.
science and believing in things that are outside of the box? Was that like a crucial moment or stepping stone for you to realize how those work together, or were there other experiences?
Absolutely. For remote viewing to work, it's obviously you're using your brain, because you can remote view outside of time. You know, you can go forward and back in time.
Yeah.
Um, Science, try and explain it. But you have a multiverse, which can explain what can happen there.
Yeah.
Where did I marry it? Actually, the most fascinating thing that came to me, we touched on it earlier, and I'll condense it quickly. There was a Farsight investigation into JFK assassination,
Hmm.
and by mistake, during that, one of the viewers went into the afterlife. And they had to split the investigation into 2 then. So one viewer just went after what happened, and the other viewer went into the afterlife, which completely blew me away and fascinated me.
Mm.
I was there, wait a minute. And then, of course, some of Farsight's other stuff about past lives and how the soul is mortal. Uh, Again, it jumps straight from science into science fiction. And you have to find that little link, or it's too unbelievable. But when you find the link, and again, I have to state this, don't believe me or somebody else. Start the investigation yourself. And what will happen is you will find something that I missed that links in with what I said or what somebody else said. And you found the piece yourself. Whereas when I put them in front of people, they go, oh, yeah, it's that and the other. When they find something themselves, they know it's not bullshit, and they will go for it then. You know? So I advise everybody to do a little bit of investigation yourself. And if you don't like what I'm saying, or if you find it wrong, that's fine, move on. But if you find something and you find something I missed, let me know.
Yeah, because we can all bring, a puzzle to these incredible discoveries and things. I find it really interesting that you say that it's really about every every person's experience that will give meaning to their real beliefs about things. I mean, like you say, you know, people can tell you 100 times about something, but when you have not experienced it in your bones, in your skin. And I think that's really what's happening right now presently in the world, where a lot of people are being told about a lot of disclosure things, which is the first really beautiful step. But I mean, I think a lot of people are going to be brought into a place where they're actually going to have to experience these new things. And I think that's really going to change. That's really what's going to change the world, really, basically, or the consciousness, is like all of these people actually experiencing these things in their bodies and not just hearing about it like we've had in the past with, you know, mainstream media just feeding us things. But it's not, you know, it's not corroborated by our own experiences, first of all because it was bullshit, but also because it's not, people were just taking in this like, you know, like food, but not like experiencing it. And what you encourage people to do, either through Farsight or any other type of experiments we can do, either by going within or more scientific approach, is really to connect with that experience. And I think what really comes out of your story and what you do is really being self-taught and just going almost obsessively, as you've said, into certain topics. You just go into it, you delve into it, and then you experience it entirely. And that's what makes the richness about, you know, about the experience. And in a way, do you feel that somehow you have a role perhaps to play in bringing other people to experience science in that way? Do you feel called by sharing or guiding or teaching in some way? And, you know, I don't know. Is that something that appeals to you?
Um, I never considered being
Nope.
a teacher. Yeah, my experience. I did have a conversation a couple of weeks ago with a guy, a scientific guy, um, and I just made him think outside the box for a second. He was talking about craft, and he said nothing moves that fast. If you do a right angle turn at that speed, you'd be, you know, splat on the wall. And I said to him, "What if the craft is producing 1G from the inside?" And he went, "Ah." And I says, "Okay, so then you'd be unrestricted. No matter how fast you move, you still have 1G. You're not going to go anywhere."
Yeah.
And it stopped him in his tracks because he'd never thought about it.
Mm.
The problem he had straight away is he goes, nothing can travel that fast, without thinking, if something can travel that fast, how does it?
Yeah.
Rather than just saying, no, nothing travels that fast. He
Yeah.
stopped himself straight away.
Mm-hmm.
But his mind opened when I told him that. And, you know, I left it with him. I'll see him in about a week's time and see how that's at with him, you know.
Yeah, how he kind of grew into this. But that's what I mean by teaching. I don't mean like, you know, whatever teacher thing, you know,
Oh, yeah.
concept we have. I mean like just bringing that little seed in someone's head. That was like you just change the perspective and the limiting beliefs into something that's open-minded. That's what I mean by being perhaps a catalyst, or you know, I don't know. I find that you seem to have that ability to navigate between the spiritual realm and the scientific realm, and then kind of helping people link the two elements. And I find that really fascinating in your experience.
It's absolutely needed. It's
Yeah.
if you don't link the two, it's like going to see an old 3D film with only one lens, a blue lens and a red lens. If you've one missing, so if you don't see the overlap between the two of them, you'll never find that link. They do overlap, and the overlap is it's the most important thing to understand what's
Yeah.
going on.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Absolutely. Is there any other scientific research or approaches? And I'm sure there's many, we could talk for 3 hours, of projects or things that you have investigated that with a lot of passion that you would like to share about us, maybe in astronomy and engineering, whatever, or far side, whatever, you know, topic you
um,
want.
I've done, and I think you've done some yourself. I've done a lot of investigation into out of place archaeology, whether it be buildings or, you know, finds themselves, objects, um, and dates and types of manufacture don't
Mm,
line up, and in particular the types of manufacture. I've worked with CNC lathes and machines, with engineering. What some of the carvings are far too sophisticated for chisels. It can't be done. It
hmm.
absolutely cannot be done. you can't do a route and then punch in a hole and then do another route. You can't do that with a chisel.
Yeah.
If it's 6 millimeters wide,
Yeah.
you just can't. So that's wrong. That's just wrong straight away.
Yeah.
Dates are wrong, names are wrong.
Mm-hmm.
It's usually shoehorned in so that somebody can either make books on it, or I don't know why they do it, but
Yeah.
I've done a lot of investigation into that, and standing on other people's work,
Mm-hmm.
as almost all of my stuff is. It's
Yeah.
the overlap that I might find myself, but
Yeah.
almost everything else is somebody else's work.
Okay.
And as I say, it'll range from the remote viewing side, which is some people might call pseudoscience, and Alex Collier stuff, which is top notch, absolutely top notch, and the
Yeah.
two of them do merge together,
Yeah.
you know,
Mm-hmm.
as Elena's and everyone else's work in between.
Yeah.
But some people can't make that jump at all, and I understand that. It
Mm-hmm.
does sound like it's two different worlds there until you find the overlap.
Mm-hmm.
But it's starting to reveal itself now. Things are happening, so
Yeah.
it's going to be a lot more palatable very soon. People will
Mm-hmm.
have probably more questions, but they'll want to hear the answers rather than refuse to hear the answers.
Yeah.
It's good. There'll be a lot of crap and a lot of darkness revealed, but it needs to come out and be dealt with. It can't stay hidden. It needs to be revealed. That's very important as well. That's going to be hard on absolutely everyone. 2015, 2016, I came across some knowledge that was dark as hell. It's going to be revealed soon. I think we all know that. I thought 8 years later I'd be prepared. I think I'm okay, but it's going to be a shock anyway. The stuff I still haven't figured out. The stuff that we don't know.
Yeah.
But we all need to stick together. And I see straight through that doom and gloom, because at the other side of it, it's just revealing itself.
Yeah.
It's not going on anymore.
Mm-hmm.
It needs to be revealed, and then you get it out of the way, and then it's just build a bridge to the future.
Yeah. How do you feel? What is your way of contributing in that way? I know you're definitely, you're what's the word? You're kind of navigating between the two worlds, and you are kind of planting seeds into, for example, into scientific colleagues and things like that, just to, open up their mind. But is there a way you feel you can bring this because all this information, all of this research you've done, are you sharing in any way in a written form, or maybe on a video form, or whatever? Is it something you would like to do? Is it a project of yours to actually share some of your really interesting information or research?
Yeah, I'll have to think about that. A lot of the research, I have a laptop that's about 10 years old, but there's an awful lot of research that I might have done on phones. I still have a lot of stuff, but I
Mm-hmm.
ended up erasing, and as we do, especially on a phone, it gets jammed up. So there was an awful lot, thousands of photos that I just got rid of. But I think most of that stuff will be moot. We've moved to a stage where running through 10-year-old research is going to be obsolete very quickly.
Yeah. Okay.
I think we're at that stage now where people are just going to get on board, and some will be trying to catch up, but I don't think there'd be any point in me going through any. I don't think it'd be worth my while going through it when all somebody has to do is stick on a couple of Elena's videos and they're caught up to date.
Yeah.
If there's people still behind looking for rock solid proof, they're never going to listen. It's all around as it is.
Absolutely. And we have to also change our perception of what proof is. I remember Dr. Salas saying in one of his reviews recently, he was talking about, I think it was some sort of one of those sessions is going right now, hearings regarding, the whole disclosure thing. And he was saying we actually even have to redefine our perception of what a proof is.
Yeah.
and taking, for example, whistleblowers testimonies as actual proofs, and stop saying that whistleblowers are just, oh, it's just like fringe stuff. We can't take that as. So I mean, the whole process in itself is being completely redone, in the sense that we even our notion of proof is something that we have to rethink and think outside the box again. So I find
Yeah.
that's interesting in a way.
I agree. I think the whole pantomime at the moment is to show everyone how ridiculous the system is, and it
Yeah.
needs to be built. Um, it is playing out like a Hollywood script.
Yeah.
Uh, it really is. It is a joke. I don't really watch much TV,
Yeah.
so it makes about as much sense as the Kardashians to me, or something like. I just
Yeah.
what's happening now. I have to get news from other people because they won't watch
Yeah, me too.
it. Yeah. So
Yeah.
most people think that truth and proof is what they get in the news, and we're all learning
Yeah.
that that's not true. Everyone, even the stupid people, are starting to see straight through the lies on the news.
Yeah.
So
But it's a process. It's
it
not easy
is a
for sure.
process. Yeah.
Definitely.
It is a process.
Mm. And is there any other scientific research or process you would like to share with us? Some of your work, whatever, in different topics you would like to share with.
Um, on the spot now, I can't really think.
Have any of
Uh,
the material that, for example, Elena or Alex or Dr. Sala has been bringing, is any of this material has been kind of corroborated in your own research, or yeah? Would you
yeah,
have any examples? Interesting.
uh, offhand, I wouldn't. But again, the overlap with the Farsight stuff, they'd be drawn certain types of people in maybe a blue uniform, and then other types of aliens with them, and then you'll get Elena will tell you about a meeting that happened over there. No, not a particular meeting, but and it'll be the same cast of characters.
Yeah.
So if Elena's making it up, she's after making up exactly what the far side remote view, you know,
Yeah,
the
which is
name,
yeah.
it's just no. To me, it's absolutely rock solid because they
Yeah.
don't go hand in. Now, I know Farsight mentioned Elena before. I mentioned Tony Rodriguez,
Mm-hmm.
but they're very careful on who they mention.
Yeah.
Very careful.
Mm-hmm.
Um, now, I found the overlap. Other people might not, but it's the same cast of characters. It is,
Yeah.
and the same cast of characters that Alex was talking about, the same cast of characters that so many other people were talking about.
Yeah.
Now, of course, there's a couple of new editions that are full of crap. I think we were able to pinpoint them straight away, and there's probably going to be a couple more that'll pop up anyway. But the majority of people know
who's genuine, and also because if they're doing that inner work, I mean, they will be resonating with their heart and with the information. It's not just about having proofs or not proofs. It's also about, as consciousness kind of grows, you have a feeling, you develop that sense of knowing, regarding BS out there. And that's also, I guess, that's part of the experience that we're going through right now. It's not just these proofs we're talking about. They also come from our heart, or from our feelings, or from our intuitions, or from the that radar we all kind of develop more and more with time, and that's also part of the process.
Well, that's why it's important for some of the dark stuff to come out, so that we can figure it out. Not so much figure it out ourselves, but we can feel that type of darkness and then be able to spot it again. You'll
Yeah.
get that feeling, part of the journey,
Yeah.
part of the process.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I don't dwell on the dark stuff at all. I welcome it because I know that the brightness is right at the other side.
Mm-hmm.
We just have to get it out of the way.
Yeah.
I'm slightly impatient.
Aren't we all?
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's a lot of people that aren't going to want this at all.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I'm willing to wait a little bit, but not forever.
No.
Their choice, their choice.
3 years minimum was long enough for many of us, but I mean, some people like Alex have been waiting for God knows how much. So I mean,
Oh
we
yeah,
have to that's a humbling process to remember like how these people have been saying so many really important things like so many years ago. And, after 3 years, we get bored and sick. But I mean, these people have been, saying this for so long. So, I mean, we have to kind of honor their journey in that way. So, yeah. So so what are your subjects of research presently? What are you passionate about right now in terms of research in presently?
Very busy with everything that's out at the moment.
Yeah.
I tend to eliminate mainstream.
Yeah.
So the only mainstream I see is what I get in the posts,
Yeah.
literally.
Mm-hmm.
So I I barely trust the weather forecast. you know.
Yeah.
So mostly what's going on online. I really have eliminated the news. I couldn't find any aspect of it to be truthful.
Yeah.
Even in my own country, the news
Yeah.
here is terrible. Absolutely terrible,
Yeah.
and blatant in your face.
Mm-hmm.
I see through it. Most people, well, a lot of people around me believe anything that's on the telly.
As long as it's on the telly, it must be true.
Yeah,
Like
the
worshipping the telly. Yeah, that's sad. But I mean, that's definitely going to come to an end very soon, I feel. So yeah, it's just a question of patience. Yeah.
That's it. I'm trying to think anything else now, really. Silly little projects going. To make stuff, lights and what have you.
Yeah, that's behind you there. You told me that this is something you actually made yourself, which is really, really cool. This kind of orb like with like a green light behind.
Oh, you can see
That
it.
that's
Yeah.
your inventor kind of nature that just created these beautiful things.
I think it was a friend of mine trying to get rid of some junk.
Okay.
No. He gave me it was a speaker, like an intercom speaker. It should be facing the opposite way around. And
Okay.
he handed it to me and says, "Can you make a space station out of this?" And I went, "Yeah." There's a space
Cool.
station.
It's really, really cool. So you link the creative again, the creative with the scientific, with the spiritual. It's really nice how there's balance there. I mean, I think when we can kind of marry science with spirituality and creativity, I think we become this really complete and really balanced being. So I think it's beautiful that you're delving between these three realms quite in a very flowy way. That's really, really, really interesting.
Um, I find it hard sometimes to throw away bits of timber or something because I'm a real fiddler and I'll keep it for a project.
Mm-hmm.
Which means that every couple of years I end up with a skip outside and I throw it all away because it's too much to keep.
Yeah.
No, I enjoy little projects like that. I don't do them enough, but I spend a good bit of time on the computer just trying to keep up with all that's happening now at the moment. But there's a lot going on.
Yeah, definitely. Are you still involved with Farsight? I mean, are you still doing, either
But
projects or with them?
I pay for their service.
Okay.
I've been with them a long time now, actually. But one of
Okay.
their yeah. I don't participate. I do some of the practice sessions, and I still do my exercises. That's
Okay.
actually how I meditate. It's using most of their methods. It's not fully complete.
Interesting.
Uh, yeah, I tend to use different methods from different people and make what works for me.
Yeah.
I find
Mhm.
this and in the remote viewing world, if you go back on some of the papers with the military guys, they all have different ways of doing it.
Yeah.
Some of them before they didn't do any meditation at all. They just got straight in, and other ones had meditation. There was a guy who stacked rocks.
Yeah.
Uh,
Each to his own, finding balance.
yes, I recommend everyone to do that. If you're trying to find something, especially guys that are reluctant to do this, if they're trying to find something, try different methods.
Yeah.
And even one of my friends, I asked him, I said, "Yeah," and he said, "You know what I've done?" And he works, he's a welder and he does a lot of repetitive work. And he says he's made a meditation out of when he's working. And I
Cool.
was saying, "No way." And he says, "Yeah," he says, "So I get 8 hours a day." I said, "Fair enough."
Wow. That's
Yeah, and he really enjoys it. He's
yeah.
made a meditation out of his daily work. Now he said it gets disrupted on occasion. But
Yeah,
like,
but
fine, you
still,
know.
this is like my definition of like real mindfulness, what it should be about. Like, because personally, I have a hard time meditating because my brain goes at about 300 miles an hour. So I tend to go more into like the mindfulness thing where I try to be mindful in the actions that I'm doing. And that's kind of my way of meditating, although I'm trying real meditation. And I think that what he's doing, your friend is doing, is just actually making your whole life a way of meditating. I think that's, I honor that with like, oh wow, this is how we should live, basically, isn't it?
Yeah,
You know,
I
it should
mean,
be a way of living.
yeah, I completely agree. I was very proud of him. He only told me that the other night, and he's uh, he knows what's going on because I tell him. I think
He has no
I
choice, he
think,
has to hear.
yeah, I think he half believes it. But
Yeah.
I was very proud of him when he said that. I was there. Oh, he's well on the way. You know, that's a great
Wow.
start.
That's interesting. It's so unique to see everyone's journey. Sometimes people are not necessarily aware of certain of the things that we kind of know about, the disclosure stuff, but still they may have this really amazing, you know, inner journey or spiritual journey going on. And each person is so unique in their opening up to certain things and not others, and but still you're so further away in terms of like inner journey, or I don't know. I find it fascinating how each person is so amazingly unique and like a jewel, in their own way of perceiving life and going within and doing their own path. I don't know. I find it
No,
fascinating.
I agree. I think everyone has something to add,
Yeah.
even the assholes. But you
Especially
know,
the assholes in a way, because they're doing that contrast we need to kind of grow. So I mean, it's not that we like them, but they have their purpose for sure. Yeah, definitely. Well, dear dots, we're gonna bring this interview to a close, but before we do, I would like to just, yeah, like I usually ask people, what would you like to share with us, a few words of your own wisdom, or of your own, things you would like to share with people in terms of where we at. Oh, I'm sorry, I can't speak anymore. Where we are at now in terms of not only the disclosure, but like how to be, how, not only regarding science, spirituality, where we stand. Do you have any words you would like to share with people regarding our stance in this period?
um, yes, we're all going through changes. Every one of us. So tolerate the other person. They're
Yeah.
they're going through the same thing. Um, you know, if they're in your way, move around them rather than push them out of the way. And if they choose, if what they choose, they choose.
Yeah.
Don't force anything on anybody.
Yeah.
Tolerate each other, and we'll get through this. And I
Mm.
guarantee if we tolerate each other, we'll all end up working together for the
Yeah.
same goal because we're all going in the same direction.
Hmm.
We're all going in the same direction. Different lanes, different speeds, but we're all going in the same direction. Try not getting anyone's way yourself.
Yeah.
Try and avoid somebody being in your way.
Yeah.
We're all going to get there.
Definitely. Thank you. uh, that
No
notion
problem.
of that notion of respect that you talk about, I know you that's not just words you just say, because I've been, I don't know you a lot, but in this community that in which we are, in the galactic community, I've seen you always present, very mindful and present in our surroundings with people online, and I see this respect that you offer to people, and this kindness and benevolence and respect. I see you incarnating it. I see it in your words. I see in the way you interact with people. We can all feel it. We have a strong feeling of your kindness in that way. So I want to thank you for, not only what you brought today, honor us with your experiences and your really fascinating kind of link, being the link between science and spirituality, and that's really really interesting. It's something beautiful you bring, but just by being who you are, the way you interact with people, I find is very inspiring, and I want to thank you for all that you are and all that you bring to us in your presence and mindfulness. So thank you for that.
My pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So it's going to be a pleasure for us to continue our chat. Maybe if you want to come back on the on the channel anytime. You're always welcome to. If you have other experiences you'd like to share, maybe scientific, spiritual, or of any kind, you'll always be welcome on the channel, and it will be a pleasure to have you. And thank you again for today for participating. All right. Take great care of yourself. Thank you. Hello, beautiful soul. You have been on a spiritual journey for some time, or perhaps you're just starting your inner journey. And you probably have questions that remain unanswered right now, although all your answers lie within yourself, as always. But sometimes we need someone to just give us a little nudge. And personally, as an intuitive and a transmitter and a creator, I have created my own type of approach where I offer the people the opportunity to ask a few questions, a maximum of 5 questions, where I will provide from my inner guidance, which is the fractal of source that I am and that you are as well as my high vibration guidance, will provide a vocal transmission. And also we will be creating an artwork just for you, unique and original, based on your questions, and the motifs and the colors that will be chosen for the artwork will have in some way some information about the answers to your question. And I will also use a piece of music that, either through the frequency of its melody, of its words, will also give you some clues as to what the answers to your questions might be. And I only serve as a nudge, as a pointer, in order for you to, after that, resonate or not with this information, and then you can pursue your own spiritual and inner journey, just having been just helped a little bit on the path. So if you're interested in a creative intuitive transmission session, which I call CIT, I invite you to follow the link that's below in the description of this video, and on my website, abigailrichard.com/CIT. And don't hesitate to ask for more information, or just book a session. Have a lovely day. Bye.